At E3, we were fortunate enough to stand in line for about 10 hours and play Smash Bros.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you ever been to E3 or heard of E3, Orion? Where they show
I've heard of it, but I definitely have not been there.
Yeah, it's very fun. It's kind of like an amusement park for new video games.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you get to go basically stand in line unless you just happen to be famous, in which case you can get like direct appointments to where you can just walk to wherever you need to. But they had a lot of cool games. The first one that we all collectively played was the new Super Smash Brothers for the Nintendo Switch. Are you a fan of Smash Brothers?
Yeah, we used to play it at my buddy's place in Vancouver a lot, actually, which would be like a few generations of the game ago now.
Yeah, so
but
it was the
so,
GameCube version or Nintendo 64?
It wouldn't have been the 64, it was after that, so it would have been GameCube one, I guess. And it was fun. It was a lot like you were saying about your experience down in LA. Have a few beers, you know, chill out and play it and not take life too seriously.
Yeah.
Until you get to like round 3 and then you start screaming at each other.
Yeah, that's when you know it gets serious. Everyone just leans forward a bit when they're
Yeah, it's always chilled, right? Everybody's friends. It's like a game of Monopoly, and then gradually
Yeah, so
tears families apart.
There's a big debate going on. There's a lot of people who are basically saying this is just an enhanced version of the Wii U version or the 3DS version that came out, which is what Nintendo's kind of been doing with like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Hyrule Warriors. What did they even call it? Was it just like the Switch version or Definitive
Hyrule
Edition?
Warriors Definitive Edition.
Yeah, and then they had like Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze. So they have brought a lot of ports, and people were just, you know, because Smash Brothers is a lot more of a big deal than some of those games. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, this is just another port. It's like not worth being called a new game," which Nintendo has responded. This comes from Nintendo, or Go Nintendo, sorry, where they say, Nintendo says, first, we did go into a lot of detail on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is what they ended up calling Super Smash Bros. For Switch. And we did that to make sure consumers across the globe really understand that this is a brand new Smash Bros. Game, with every character from past Smash Bros. Games included with updates to the gameplay mechanics. It was very important to drive home that message. That said, the unique thing about Smash Bros. Is that it's a great couch co-op game for consumers who aren't all that familiar with the game. They can very much pick up and start smashing right away. So never mind. It's not very PG. But continuing. But to the second part of your question, the competitive scene, we have been doing more and more with the competitive Smash scene. We've supported EVO. We've supported a number of other tournaments, and the Nintendo philosophy is this. We want to first, obviously, provide a game that really is well suited for the competitive activity. Certainly Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, we believe, will deliver on that regard. But the other thing that we worked with the EVOs of the world is to have some consistency in the format of the tournaments to make sure that the best players do have an opportunity to compete, and those activities will continue. We believe that letting the communities grow around Smash Bros. As a competitive experience is good for Nintendo, and it's good for the pro players of Smash Bros. Now, if a pro player could be considered a 10 out of 10 at Smash Bros., I would probably be like a -2. I was barely able to win one of the matches that I played against a random person. How did you guys fare in Smash Bros. Ultimate?
We won. Kayla and I played against 2 random people, some random couple, and we kicked their butts.
Yeah, Daniel won the first game, and then I won the second game.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was great. But basically, I think anyone who actually gets to play it can tell that it's not a port. Like it feels too different from Smash 4 to be a just an enhanced port. Like too much of it. The game's overall speed just feels a little more I don't know, a little more snappy. Like everything just feels a little snappier, and it's really quite a rush to kind of get through everything. And even if it is like an enhanced port, they've clearly changed so much of even just the physics that it doesn't even matter really if it's an enhanced port. Clearly they just took that as like a foundation and built like a whole thing on top of it. So people need to cool their stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting that Nintendo has finally like came out and made a statement for everyone, saying that they do look at it as a brand new title, not just another version. Definitely, if you compare it to the 3DS version, it is a very understandably a sequel. But looking at the visually, it does look very similar, but then there are like a bunch of stuff that they added in that wasn't in the original. I still have my fingers crossed for like the single player mode, which I thought we were going to get. I was
gonna say, I was actually just scrolling through the comments and someone was like, well, like, we didn't get a single player, da-da-da-da. It's like, well, they didn't show that much of the game.
Yeah, they had that cool CG trailer with Ridley attacking everyone.
That was a big reveal. Ridley is in it.
I thought that would have been like a cutscene that they took from the...
Yeah. Well, because when we were watching it, I was pretty sure when that part was coming up, I was like, is this going to be like a new sort of adventure mode like they used to have in
the Subspace
and Brawl? Because that would be a really cool way to go through. Like, I really liked unlocking characters that way by going through sort of the story mode, as much of a story mode as you can have in Super Smash Bros. But I don't know. We know that we do have to actually go through and unlock all these characters because you have like a starting roster of like 10 out of like 65 characters.
Yeah.
So a story mode or adventure mode of some kind.
Is it going to be like every 5 minutes you're unlocking a new character, or is each of them going to actually be challenging in different ways?
Well, for the most part, like most Smash games, it's like you have to play like a certain amount of matches and then you get to unlock someone, right? So it's probably going to be the same kind of thing. I don't like, there's probably going to be like Ridley is probably going to be a hard guy to unlock.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be a couple of hoops that you have to jump through for that.
All right. So before we move on to our next topic, I'm trying to keep them short today. During E3, we were watching a small conference interview type thing with Greg from Kinda Funny was interviewing Major Nelson, who's in charge of Xbox Live, so the entire internet service for Xbox and all of the online games they have. He's in charge of that, and the interview was for GameSpot, but Greg asked if he, which is really weird hearing like a Microsoft or a PlayStation employee talk about their competition, but he was asked directly, which is the first time that I can think of that someone directly asked, was if he could choose any character that he wanted to put in Super Smash Bros. For Nintendo Switch, who would it be? And he defaulted to Master Chief, who I think would kind of be an obvious answer just because he's their most popular mascot, but I feel there are other characters who would fit in a lot more. A lot of people are in favor of like Banjo-Kazooie going to Smash Brothers. So starting with you, Orion, if you could pick any third-party character, whether it's from EA, Ubisoft, PlayStation, Xbox, whoever, to be in Smash Brothers, what character or which character would you like to see to play as?
I mean, I really like what you're saying about Banjo-Kazooie there, because I think that'd be a fun thing to have the two characters in one, and maybe you could have them doing different things or some sort of different moves or whatever attached to them. A more diverse way to go than just putting another single figure in, if that's not unfair to say.
No, absolutely.
But that one would seem like if you were designing that game and you were building, you know, whatever moves for each character, a little more freeing as a designer and maybe a little more interesting as a player.
Yeah, I can't think of too many other characters that have multiple characters, like the Ice
Climbers, maybe. Duck Hunt.
Princess Peach has Toad.
Oh, if that
leave.
Yeah, Banjo would work really well, even for like the double jump. You could just have Kazooie flapping the wing or something.
Yeah, and I think a lot of his moves from the games, like from his games, from their games, Banjo-Kazooie's, would carry over into Smash really well. Like he's ground pound, maybe could be like a down B special, and they could do the egg shooting as maybe a standard special attack. And
the same way that Link shoots arrows.
Yeah, exactly. So I think a lot of their moves would carry over, and like you said, Orion, would be a lot more interesting than just having someone like Master Chief come in and he's just like a guy with guns. I don't know. Like I don't see him as a really interesting fighter in Smash. Pretty much any character that's like just known from an FPS game. Sure, their games, Halo's fun, but Smash Bros is such a different style of game that I just don't see it as being as fun to play as him. Yes.
All right. What about you, Kayla? Which character would you like to see?
Definitely Banjo, 100%. I can't
everyone
pick anyone
is
else.
just agreeing
But-
Banjo.
Yes.
What would Banjo's final Smash be?
Would
he-
maybe
Basically
Kazooie.
playing the banjo and like make you deaf or something?
I was
Maybe,
thinking,
like,
I mean,
the-
Kazooie can turn into a dragon in the second game,
Oh yeah.
Oh.
so maybe that as like one of the transformation ones, or I
That'd
don't
be
know,
kind of fun.
just throwing things out there. But
Makes a lot more sense than mine, so.
oh yeah,
I don't know. I like yours.
it's actually
Power
funny,
music.
Kayla. I just realized something. We were talking about final smashes yesterday. So Kayla and I, on our flight home, we were playing Donkey Kong Country on the flight, and in Tropical Freeze, when you beat a boss, you like rapid punch them at the very end of it. So I was saying they should change Donkey Kong's final smash to be that instead of his bongo drums.
Yeah.
And I was rewatching the presentation yesterday because I wanted to show Spencer and Kaylee what they didn't see when I left them behind to go to LA, and they totally did change it to that.
Oh,
For Donkey
really?
Kong. It did get changed, so I was like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I can't
Nintendo
believe I
read
didn't
my
notice
mind.
that.
Yeah, I think we glossed over it when they did the presentation because there was just too much excitement in the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought I should put that out there.
All right.
Such a better final smash.
Yeah, it makes more sense.
Because it's actually something from his game.
Yeah.
Instead of being a made-up move or from like the spin-off game.
Exactly.
So Daniel, are you in
Jesse.
agreement with everyone for Banjo? Or
I've been saying Banjo-Kazooie for so long. Like, just that would be. There's a lot of cool stuff they could do with having the two of them, especially if they have it like Ice Climbers, where if for some reason they get separated, you're kind of hooped, and they're like far weaker, but as a pair, they're really good. That would be really cool. Because you already see that kind of dynamic with Ice Climbers, and it works really well. I feel like almost in a sense, Duck Hunt kind of fills that spot a little bit as a duo character. But if it's not Shovel Knight, it's got to be Banjo-Kazooie. Shovel Knight's not Microsoft,
Yep.
but those are the two that I've been like gunning for in Smash this whole time. So
all right.
that's all I have to say.
So I think we can move on to the. I have it labeled as Game Over Hangover, but it's our topic of discussion. So all of these puns to catch Orion up are just things that kind of happened naturally while we were. One of the last days or one of the last nights we were there, we all got a little. We drank a bit too much, so the next day.
There's some pictures on Twitter that kind of tell the story of.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to look this up.
There was a really funny one where I picked Daniel up and I'm holding him on the shoulder, or on my shoulder, and one of our friends who does a similar YouTube channel and Twitch, Miss Click is her name, and someone had posted the picture. And then I had posted right underneath it, it's really funny how it worked out because like one picture was right underneath the other. So like she's seen both of them at the same time and she screenshotted it. So the top picture was me holding up Daniel, and then the bottom tweet was something about having a bit too much to drink the night before. And she screenshotted it and was like, "Oh really? I couldn't tell." So like the way that it worked out, it was really funny. But we ended up calling it the Game Over Hangover, like a pun
I like
fitting
that.
in with the name.
And there's also a picture of us, the three of us, and we're just like supposed to be smiling, but I don't know what I'm making this stupid face and going like. I just look.
With you and Gibbs, right?
Oh no, there's a few of them, honestly,
Oh.
and I just look like such trash in all of these photos. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
There's also a great photo of Jesse and I sitting in a bathtub.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, from what Jesse was saying, you're the eye candy. You can't afford to do that, man. You got to be taking care of your skin, some facial masks.
Exactly. All right.
Oh,
So
no.
I took care of Daniel that night.
oh yes. She was like my mama bear.
Oh, bless you.
For the discussion, everyone's ready to begin? Because since it's the discussion, I do another intro for it.
Yes.
Wait.
I just will say the last thing that I said to anyone that night, I looked at Kayla and I said, "Don't let me die."
So the discussions on the top 5 Nintendo spin-offs that need to happen. So basically like a spin-off game that we would like to see. Recently Nintendo had, and I'll explain this again once I officially start it, but Nintendo had like Mario plus Rabbids, which was a spin-off. At E3 they announced the Star Fox spin-off game. I forgot what it was for.
Or Starlink.
Yeah, Starlink.
With Star
in
Fox.
Wow. They've had Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors and stuff like that. So basically, like, if you could take one franchise from Nintendo and a second completely different franchise from Square Enix, PlayStation, whoever, and combine them, what would it be? So if everybody's ready to begin, we can start.
Yeah.
All right.